right, peace and blessings, everyone. Once again, welcome to the Phocused Black Podcast, the Phocused Black Podcast. We're at episode 3.
Right.
My name is Naseed Gifted. This is my partner,
Dilettante J Bash,
And we have an exciting episode today to talk to you about. We're talking about breaking barriers. We're talking about black women in STEM and STEAM. And for those of you who do not know what STEM is, we're talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So join us for an inspiring podcast where we're going to explore the remarkable journey of black women in the field of STEM and STEAM, from hidden figures to modern trailblazers, while we celebrate their achievements, discuss the challenges that they face, and envision a future where barriers are broken and diversity thrives. So once again, my name is Naseed Gifted, and I'm one of the co-hosts here of the Phocused Black Podcast, coming to you every Thursday at 8 p.m. And hey, man, well, I'm excited about this topic, and we want to give some flowers. We want to show some love for the individuals who sometimes are the backbones of the community, but have been doing some phenomenal work within the field. So I just want to, I always kind of start off with some stats and, talk about the overview of the state of representation of black techs in the STEM field. But also we're talking about women. We're focusing on the queens. We're talking about the sisters, the mothers, the individuals who are, sometimes the breadwinners in the family and everything. Yeah. But, black people make up 12% of the U.S. workforce, but only 8% of the employees in the tech jobs. That percentage is even smaller when you go up the corporate ladder. And that's something that we're going to kind of talk about. And when we talk about that, only 3% of technology executives are in the C-suite are black, right? Yeah. So, when we talk about those CEOs and, those CFOs and COOs within especially in the tech industry, we talking about something that's really, really, really small. So women in STEM and STEAM, because we're talking about breaking barriers, are even smaller. So women of color face more significant challenges in the tech industry. This is from Women in Stats, the article from CIO.com, the hard truths of an uphill battle. So women of color face more significant challenges, it states, in the tech industry, and they are greatly underrepresented. While a total of 27% of computing roles are held by women, only 3% and 2% are held by black and Hispanic women, respectively, according to the article within Attica. So, despite this national conversation about the lack of diversity in tech, women are disproportionately missing out on the ongoing boom within tech, within IT, and the job opportunities that are there, while women make up 47% of all employed adults in the U.S. as of 2022, they hold only 28% of the computing and mathematical jobs, according to the data from Zipper. And with women identifying as Asian or Pacific Islanders making up just 7% of the IT force, black and Hispanic women, accounting for 3 and 2% respectively. So those stats are staggering, man. And we want to talk about why is it important for representation for black women in these STEM fields, man.
Well, you have to look at it, the makeup of a woman, when you really think about it. Sometimes it's not about, we'll say STEM, but you got to look at what careers do women mainly go in. They usually go into social science field, nursing, anything that deals with care, love, because it's in their nature, their makeup.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why the numbers are low. They're teachers, majority of women, teachers are women.
Oh, yeah.
They go in those fields. So, and some of them don't believe they're capable of doing science or mathematics at high level. So when we talk about how
not steered to those particular fields as well.
But the sad part about it, they did a study. And in Switzerland, other countries, they did everything they could do to move women towards STEM fields, and it still wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's about your heart and passion.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, if a woman wants to be a teacher, it ain't nothing you could do, right? But one of the things that have to be done, and it's not just it's the school system we come from, especially in predominantly African American, indigenous, Latino. We don't have the resources like other school systems have. Whereas though, when we came out of science and went to NJIT, some of those kids in their regular high school, they had resources that we ain't have. They was doing C++, CIS classes, all that before they even got to college.
Yeah.
So we experienced that. So the same thing happens for women. They experience almost the same thing we go through. But also, like, we have to let them know there's other avenues. And, maybe we need to switch the conversation, give them motivation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And once we get motivation, they say, then maybe I will go that route.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you tuned into the Futures Black podcast here on YouTube at PBS Media Studios. That's Phocused Black Star Media. And my name is Naseed Gifted. This is Dilettante J. Bass.
Yes.
And we're here each and every Thursday. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you like what we're talking about, we're going to talk about a number of the trailblazers, the individuals, the hidden figures.
Yes.
Right? We're going to start off with, Katherine Johnson, the trailblazing mathematician. And most people are more familiar with her because of the movie Hidden Figures. But she worked at NASA, she's the reason that they were able to get the shuttles to the moon. She shaped the flight of Alan Shepard, who became the first American in space in 1961. She was part of the space race. Was that John F. Kennedy? Was he the first individual who started the space race?
I'm not sure.
Hey,
I have my remorse about this space.
Hey, check our facts on that. I know y'all love to check people facts. Check our facts. Let us know about that in the comments. But Johnson's contributions to space exploration, and those other African American mathematicians, engineers, and everything were celebrated in the movie Hidden Figures. So that's why we actually know about them, at a higher level. But those are individuals we like to research and understand and use as motivation to inspire the next generation of technology leaders.
I mean, the first scientist, or the first person I would say is the scientist, or STEM in some ways where you could look at it, would be the herbalist. Or would be your mother.
Oh yeah.
When you say home remedies. Like, sometimes we gotta realize that's the first stage of science.
Oh yeah.
And then one of the greatest stages is understanding our proximity from the stars, the planet, and how we coincide with that. That was a form of science within itself. I think we steered away from that too. And then when you talk about women in the past, it was even harder back then.
Of course.
For some sisters to be in NASA or any science position.
Oh yeah, I mean, just hard. First of all, to even get accepted into the program.
Yeah,
that's a barrier. That's a challenge that they have to face. And then to even be able to have voice, to be able to show that you have been doing, or you are capable of doing the work, right? Yeah. So I mean, we're going to get more into the challenges and everything, but that's something that these women had to face. When we talk about post Jim Crow South, or Jim Crow laws, and now we're talking about integration and putting individuals within a program like NASA, which was predominantly men, and we talking about not just men but white men, and to have black women who were, the top of they had to be the top of their class.
And you know what's crazy about all that? not only you had to be the top, but what you had to endure mentally every day when you came to work.
Oh,
like
yeah, man.
you sitting there and you could hear the snickers, you hear the racist
Oh yeah,
comments, you
the
hear
microaggressions, or sometimes blatant blatant racism. You know.
See, today's time is micro.
Yeah.
Back then it's just straight.
Yeah, straight racism. Like,
who is this nigga? Like,
yeah.
like, and so you be like, yo, they went through a lot, and some of it is still it goes on today.
Yeah, definitely.
But only thing about it, the system is like changed somewhat where people can't react or do the same thing as they used to.
Yeah,
like,
it just can't be as blatant.
Yeah, now you get sued, lawsuits, lose jobs, so they they do it differently. Now they show their racism by not giving you the position you deserve.
Oh yeah, so we talk about we talk about pay, we talk about like promotions, we talk about all of these different ways to kind of keep individuals out or close doors.
Like, the pay is a little iffy. You know what I mean? Sometimes they say the sisters is not getting paid the same amount the black women. In the science field or certain fields, they're getting paid.
But not as much as the next person who has the same resume.
No, it depends on what field you in science. Like them sisters in pharmaceutical, they getting paid.
They are.
It's like some of those positions, the sisters are making 200,000, 300.
But when we talk about, they are getting more than some of the individuals that's in other fields, but their co-counterparts within the same positions are starting off at a different pay scale.
Not what I'm saying,
and then moving up. That's the disparity that we have to.
What I'm saying
recognize.
It depends on what field they in the science. Like certain fields, yes, it's true. Some of them, but some of them are getting the amount of money. What we don't talk about is negotiation.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times they say women don't negotiate nowhere near as men. So if this counterpart come in there and she come in there, he may say, no, I deserve 170. The position paying 140. He'll say I deserve 170. Say, oh, we'll no, and give him 160. They'll tell her the position pay 140, and she'll take it. And sometimes that's something we have to look at. Like, sisters, please learn to negotiate. Negotiate your salary. Know your worth.
Know your worth.
And know your worth in reality. Don't say you deserve 190 when your worth is 160. Like, learn to gauge it. But, sometimes it's about negotiation. And it's about what field of science you in.
Yeah, I remember I got my first engineering opportunity.
Yes.
And I put on the application, this is back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So, but this was a lot of money for us coming from coming from the hood, coming from an urban neighborhood and everything, just graduating out of college. But I asked for $48,000,
Yeah, and it's
and they was like, oh, we'll give you 47. And I was like, ooh. So I had to go back to the negotiation table because I actually had another job offer that I wasn't looking to take.
Yeah.
But I was like, look, I need this other number, Now, of course, never actually being able to have this opportunity before, I didn't know my power of negotiation, but they gave me right in between what I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I needed to gauge something even higher because I didn't want to take myself out of the opportunity like you were talking about.
Yeah.
But I could have got my initial salary much, much more because I ended up getting it in bonuses and everything else, kind of moving forward. But I don't want us to digress and make sure that we keep, giving the flowers to the individuals. I mean, because staying within space exploration, we got Dr. Mae Jemison, who was the first black female astronaut to orbit aboard the Space Shuttle and Endeavour in 1992,
Yeah.
becoming the first African American woman in space, right? And we do credit that to some of the Afrofuturism and sci-fi what we see in Star Trek, because that was a little seedling that actually planted that space exploration when we see the sister on the deck in space, that planted that seed that told somebody like Dr. Mae Jameson that she can be an astronaut.
Some.
But I mean, even though she was an astronaut, she was also a medical doctor, engineer, and everything, because those were the fields that she studied. And then she also went and encouraged young people to, go into the STEM fields and everything, upon her whole journey, and still doing that in the math and sciences as well.
And one thing, since we talking about going into the field, the number one college that graduates the most scientists or black scientists of women is Howard University.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Howard graduates a lot of the top black, period, all around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's known, or some, their numbers are high.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's important that we admire women of the past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
It's important because, like you said, they laid the groundwork for other women.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Not just women, men too.
Men in general, yeah.
Yeah, like everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, because everybody is inspired.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that you're actually within the field, now that you have knowledge and information and exposure to the field, increases the number of individuals who are going to gravitate to that particular field.
Yes, because, we have to let the women know that you don't just inspire women, you inspire men too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's important, because sometimes I don't separate the two. I just be like, that's a win for the nation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's for the community.
Yeah, that's a community win.
Community win right there.
Check one more point. One more check. That's it. Who else you got on the list of?
I mean, we got a ton of people, but we're just going to highlight a few. Being that it's wintertime, I want to kind of give a big shout out to Alice Parker. Alice Parker, who was, when we talk about New Jersey winters or the winters up north, she designed a natural gas furnace. Which was much more efficient than the fireplace, of course. Because, we used to just burn wood. But she came up with the natural gas furnace. Now, so this was a black woman born in 1895, who passed in 1920. But she designed the gas furnace. She reduced the risk of house fires. She eliminated the need to buy and chop wood. So her designs was a major step to more central heating.
And that's one of the greatest designs.
Well,
now.
Shoot, we gotta. Especially now in the winters. Especially
it's winter time.
Yeah, it's winter here in Jersey. We in the capsule. Tell us where you tuning in from. You at the Futures Black Podcast every Thursday, 8 p.m. Tune in. Let us know where you tuning in from. Let us know what you. Well, we want to give everybody their flowers. Go ahead, brother.
Also, we want to give a special shout out to Downtown Realtor. We always got to give a shout out to them.
Oh yeah, Downtown Realty. Where we capture this podcast each and every week. So Alice Parker, she's a pioneer. She's a trailblazer. She is the individual who did that. And then I got Marie Britton Brown, born in 1922, who was actually passed away in 1999. Why is she important? Because a lot of people nowadays, especially with the concern of crime in the 1960s, she grew up in New York City. She was a nurse, but she designed the front door security system, right? She laid the foundation for that.
So what's the one everybody using now? The ring?
Oh, yeah. So the ring, the ring, all of that stuff, that foundation work came from this sister, Marie Van Britton Brown, who grew up in New York City, was a nurse, and said, hey, I need to make sure that I'm secure in my house, because what they say, the the people who create are the individuals who are actually enduring and looking to solve the problem and everything.
Yes.
And I know there's a saying, and I'm not catching that right at the moment, but
they get the point. They get the message.
Yeah, definitely. But she paved the way for, modern security systems that we use today. So a lot of people didn't know about her. That's why I wanted to be able to kind of highlight her and give her flowers and everything. So we're going to definitely be able to spotlight, because we're talking about people who are breaking barriers because they're black, breaking barriers because they're women, and they're entering these STEM fields where it is nothing but generally predominantly white industry. And then nowadays we're talking to more, Asian or specific islander individuals who are within these particular spaces, but for them to be able to break barriers back then. And, just even going back when we talk about the trailblazers, there's a number of individuals who created patents, and the patent office so-called lost these patents and everything. So there's a number of people who were credited or not credited, like Sarah Good, who came up, who was recognized as the fourth African-American black woman to be granted a U.S. patent. And we talked about that last week, but she was from Chicago, and she created the folding cabinet bed. So that's where the design of the Murphy beds and all of them kind of thrive from, and it improved on that design because she knew that there was a lack of space in apartments and everything that was in the black communities. So, and that was back in 1885.
Well, would what's the name you consider that? A woman in STEM? What's the sister name? I hate that. I forgot her name.
Oh, man.
That invented the iron comb,
straightening
comb.
Sarah Boone.
Yeah. Would she be considered that?
Yeah, because with the ironing board and everything.
Yeah.
That's when we talk about, because they were doing the work. Because they were doing the work, they tried to make their jobs a lot easier and more effective and efficient. They saw a problem, they looked to solve it. That's what that's what these inventors and technology innovators do. So being able to kind of just tap into that, and understand that. So those are some of the trailblazers who from the past, but we want to kind of get more into the modern individuals who are kind of setting and making waves within the STEM and STEAM fields. One who took it upon herself to develop an organization is Kimberly Bryant, who developed Black Girls Code. She's the founder of a nonprofit called Black Girls Code, where the organization provides financial and educational support for Black girls between the ages of 7 to 17 who are interested in computer science. So she is single-handedly looking to increase the number of Black girls who are interested in being a part of this pipeline for computer science, because we know that they're outsourcing all of these particular jobs because there's a lack of computer scientists within the market. And that's one of the largest growth areas within the next 10 years.
Another person I would say, Hadia Nicole Green.
Oh, Hadia Nicole Green. Hey.
Yeah. For cancer research, developing cancer treatment using lasers and nanoparticles.
Oh,
so to eliminate the side effects. So give it up to that sister. That's one person.
Got to give her flowers. Got to definitely give her flowers.
Yes,
to the queens and the sisters out there that's doing the work, man. Because I know we got daughters. And we want to definitely inspire them. We got nieces and individuals who are coming up. We want to be able to shed light on those individuals that are doing the work, who have been phenomenal within these particular fields. And like I said, there is dozens of others. We just wanted to highlight a few because we want you to be able to go out, hear what we're talking about, do the research, and see that there's a phenomenal group of individuals that are doing some really, really phenomenal things, man. So anybody else comes to mind? Because I got a few more.
You could list them out. I'm in my head, but they'll come in a second. Give me a second. They'll come to me.
Shout out to Cheryl Hall, who is the president of Wise Engineering. She is an individual who has taken engineering to a whole new level. She was able to secure contracts with the Defense Department. She's been creating stuff with 3D printing, 3D modeling, developing simulations, because every piece of equipment that the government or the Defense Department creates, they actually have to do a simulation that goes along with it to be able to do the training. And she was one of the individuals that are actually creating these things, for the Defense Department. And she was able to do this, for 25 plus years. Look it up, Wise Engineering, who actually happens to be a good, friend of ours, within all of the stuff that we've been doing within the STEM and tech fields. But wanted to definitely be able to give her flowers for doing some great work. And then actually, pushing forward as an entrepreneur, as a single mom, and being able to make things happen and have multiple year contracts, with the Defense Department, and being able to secure that, because that in itself is something. And then they be able to survive and thrive, through the pandemic, where a lot of companies actually folded, So being able to understand that, there's a lot of work, and she's been doing work in virtual reality, 3D printing, AR technology, using and leveraging all of those to kind of create these simulation and training programs for the Defense Department.
So what would you say if someone was looking for their daughter to get into STEM? What advice would you give?
I mean, for daughters that's getting into STEM, first of all, I would try to find what their passion is.
Yeah.
If they like programming, if they're into gaming, if they're into animation, I would kind of leverage that. But, computer science is definitely one aspect of it.
Yeah.
If they are hands-on, I would go right into robotics. Robotics, but biotech is just something that kind of touches, both areas, especially when you get into replacement of, limbs and, orthopedic, not orthopedic, but prosthetics. I'm talking about prosthetics. So when you talk about prosthetics and everything, that's something that, if you're interested, especially if you want to go into healthcare, and not just not be a doctor, but being able to, help people extend their lives, using that type of technology to do those type of things. Now, I'm not talking about create cyborgs or, the Terminator.
I don't know,
like
man.
That.
It's going that way. It's going that way.
It is. And they're using robots and everything for all of these different things. But we, as individuals, we need to know about that tech, because who's going to repair? Right? Who's going to be the individuals that's going to help design this stuff? And then what about the takeover? What about the apocalypse when the robots kind of create their mind? Who's going to be able to hack into that? We need to know about all that.
Electromagnetic pulse that.
Oh yeah, but we need individuals that know all about those type of things.
Yeah.
So. Because movies desensitize us to some of these things, and then stuff happens, and like, oh yeah, we saw it in a movie, those type of things. So, we want to definitely make sure that we are, tapping in and getting them ready for those type of things.
Okay. So where we at today? Where we at?
I mean, we just like definitely highlighting, some of those individuals who are doing some phenomenal work, within the fields. I mean, we have individuals who are directors of, water, not sanitation, but public works, who are doing, some powerful work. But within that, they face barriers, right? So overcoming challenges. What are some of the challenges that, individuals, and how do they break through those things? Of course, we are coming from the perspective of males, but we do know the story of individuals who have been pushing to get through in this industry, or even when we talk about getting the silicone and all that stuff.
First, if we going talk about the individual, we need to talk about some of our friends, our friends.
That's what I'm saying.
You got, Hanifa Johnson, where she work at? She's the director of... Hillside.
Public, was it public work? Not public works, but
is it
engineering? She's head of engineering.
One of them. Phil. Yeah. Hanifa Johnson and Hillside. Who else we got? Remember Tosh that went to NJIT?
Yeah.
She started her own science laboratory stuff. She's killing the game. Who else we know? What Kara Mosley? What's she doing?
Oh yeah, she's a chemical engineer.
Yeah, chemical engineer. What's Malika Muhammad? What's
she's biomedical.
Yeah, biomedical engineer. So it's like we don't have to go far. We got friends.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We got friends that's
and we want to give them a shout out because they helped us through these times and everything to be able to navigate this thing called higher learning within the higher education system. And don't forget about the curve breaker, who is the head of STEM programs at Liberty Science Center. We were talking about Miss Ivory Williams, but I'm sorry.
If you ever go to Liberty Science Center, Ivory Williams.
Yes, Ivory Williams.
She would break the curves all the time in school at NJIT.
She was a curve breaker. She was a curve breaker.
Yeah, messing it up for the rest of us.
So, I mean, she was phenomenal within the math.
She was intelligent.
Yeah, super intelligent. We used to have to study with her. We had to, like, hold up. We need just knowledge because you busting the curve out here. You killing it. You killing it.
Give it up to Latasha Ruth Ross in the pharmaceutical industry and all her friends.
It's a ton of individuals. We want to just keep shouting them out.
She's a part of that whole FDA, like where they test drugs and medical equipment and stuff like that. Believe it or not, there's a lot of women in that field too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like that's a field y'all should think about.
Oh, data, was it validation and everything?
Yeah.
So
we don't sometimes when we think of science or women in science, we think of sometimes the same few fields, but there's a whole array of things you can do. Who else we know out there? These are just friends we know, just naming them.
Giving them their flowers.
Doing their thing.
And, making things happen, man.
Yes, in the science STEM field. Even we got to give it up to the math teachers, math and science teachers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I know you know some sisters that's doing that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Terry Mitchell, who's also a principal at Central High School in North New Jersey. Stephanie Matthews, who was doing some phenomenal work, and also VP over at Central High School. Lucinda Eason, who is vice principal over at Barringer High School, but also was a scientist who moved into the field, transitioned from science, being a scientist into education. So those individuals who are doing some phenomenal work, and then working on the lives and improving the lives of young people by showing them a different route and exposing them to these particular STEM fields, and letting them know that there is a future that can happen and how we can impact our community by just taking interest and being a part of these particular fields.
Yeah, because it's important. Like you said, it's important that we give honor to. Sometime there was a time, right? People always be like, yeah, I want to give honor to Malcolm, Martin Luther King, this person. But sometimes you got to give honor to your family and friends that are around you. Give them their flowers, how they helped you, or show respect to them because they paving waves, like that. So that's why we wanted to name a few friends we know that's in the STEM world.
Oh, yeah.
And, we just wanted to give them their props,
Oh, yeah, give them their flowers. I mean,
we watching y'all. We watching. We watching. Even when y'all think we not. We watching.
We definitely, and understanding that you guys had to overcome challenges and stuff, too. Sometimes you are being looked over, within these particular fields because, they feel that you're not qualified. And then most of the time, you're double qualified to be able to do the job.
These sisters got degrees on top of degrees on top of degrees.
And that's funny because when you look at the research, they talk about advanced degrees for Black women. Black women have the most advanced degrees within the STEM fields, and the growth within that is even higher than any other particular ethnic group or race or creed as
Sisters
we
with
go into that.
degrees, man.
So they possess the credentials and the knowledge base to be able to do the work, but they also possess the skill and will to be able to do the work as well.
And in the midst of some advice to give them or upcoming people, as you go for these degrees, be mindful of the cost of the institutions that you go to, because there's nothing worse than you having all these degrees, especially the sisters. Y'all carry the highest burden of debt out of everybody.
Yes.
So start being mindful when you're going for your degrees. What school you going to? How much the school costs? See about scholarships. See if the school got extra funding or people donate towards your career. Just do the research. Like sometimes what you can do is you can go to a community college, and then from a community college you transfer over to a 4-year college. Ways to save money. So this just something when we talk about the sisters and all these degrees, because there's nothing worse than you coming out with your degree and you working at a job.
Oh yeah.
And you $150,000 in debt, and then on top of the $150,000 in debt, and you have to live, and you want to live at a certain certain way of life based on your degree. You feel you should be living at this apartment costs $3,000, $2,500. So we just want you to be mindful of the financial side of education and cost of living while you're obtaining this education and what after you obtain the education. So that's something that to think about.
Oh no, definitely, because of the cost, because education is a business in itself.
Oh yeah, it is.
So I know, like when we talk about the industry and we talk about the barriers and overcoming challenges and everything, that's why we actually have more startup companies, more founders, within these particular spaces, especially within STEM. And of course, Black women are the number one individuals who are doing, tech startups.
Yes.
Because of the barriers that they face, within, promotion gaps and, the employment gap. And then we talk about the wage gap and, and we already said that they already got the degrees. So they have the degrees.
Degreed out.
They got the degrees. So they already have the skill set and the paperwork.
Sure, some of them need to stop going to school.
I mean,
no
they got
more school.
Two masters and a doctorate.
Like, what's the point? Like, no more school. Please cut back on some of the school.
but like there's also like some places where they face these challenges. We talk about workplace, culture and everything, where you're judged because of your hair, judged because of how you talk and what vernacular you may use or whatever the case may be, and code switching and understand, and also some prejudices that they may have because you come from certain neighborhoods. We know that they face all of those things and still persevere.
Also, with some of the prejudice they face is, as from talking to different women in the field, is that they don't feel they're intelligent enough.
Yes,
like
always,
and they have more intelligence than the person who's questioning their intelligence.
Of course.
So
because usually they can supervise their supervisor and run the department all in the same time.
And that's what happens too. So that's one of the things they always got to prove themselves.
I mean, and of course, as Black men, we do the same.
Oh yeah, we have to go through the same thing.
But Black women have to do it twice as hard. But our advice, especially within this tech industry, we want everyone to have pride within themselves, right? So as a Black tech entrepreneur, as a Black tech STEAM or STEM worker, we want you to have pride. And pride stands for perseverance, resilience, integrity, determination, and above all, excellence in everything that you do. And we want you to be able to push forward, be able to take that and then use that drive to be able to make something happen, within these.
You know what else I'm going to say this? No one never talks about this, but stop getting so emotionally attached to the company. Especially sisters, like, It's not your company.
Oh yeah.
It's your job. It's your place of employment. And sometimes you have to put that in perspective in your reality so you don't get so emotionally attached that you having breakdowns because that's happening. They being burnt out, whatever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, to avoid breakdown, kind of distance yourself from the company. Whereas they'll say, try your best when it's time to leave, sis. Go home.
Oh yeah.
If you could leave the work there, leave it there.
You definitely need balance, man.
Yeah, leave it there. Like,
because I mean, definitely some individuals, some sisters we know, value their job or their career more than family. Sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know that they have to work twice as hard to be able to, meet the standard and everything. But you definitely need balance with all of this stuff because at the end of the day, especially if you have a job, they will warn you maybe for a week, and then they're going to go in. They're going to scrape your name off the door, and then they're going to pack your little box and give that to the family and friends. So please understand you have value and understand your value and have pride within yourself to understand who you are, where you are, and where you're going. So understand that. I mean, I know it takes a lot of courage to go off on your own and do, some phenomenal things, but there is a number of examples that we're talking about that have done those type of things, but also leveraging your resources and understanding that you have a lot of value and a lot of worth, within these particular fields, and you're an inspiration to that next generation. That's the part that we always want to highlight and we want to kind of talk about.
And one of the things too, as a sister or even black people in general, we have to always be extra good, cross the T's, dot the I's, and also come in dressed professional.
Oh yeah.
For the position, we don't care what anybody else doing. We have to uphold the standard for ourselves. So, that professionalism for our people, just for the sake of integrity, character, is who we are, So, like, if we talking about women and what they go through, also sexual harassment is a big thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's like, men, we get sexually harassed at work, but I think we just brush it off like, whatever, like that. But
I mean, and that goes into knowing your worth, man. Knowing your worth and having pride.
Sisters they will harass you as a man in the workforce too, but it's nowhere near what women go through.
Definitely. Definitely. And to keep their integrity, because that's why we talk about pride, right? So the I is integrity. You got to keep your integrity, because once you compromise that, then they feel like they got you, and then they could do anything with you.
And you know what? The one thing that our sisters, our indigenous, black, melanated sisters face when they express themselves, or they talk direct, or they don't cut no corners, or whatever it may be, or what they say, how they feel, they always throw the angry black woman at them.
Definitely.
And it'd be like, even...
But that's the cultural piece. You know what I'm saying? That's the cultural piece that we're talking about. So, you face that, especially if you're in corporate America.
Yeah.
If you're in corporate America, you face those type of challenges and barriers.
And the sad part about it, we as black men also have to stop putting that. Just like they put certain things on us, we project it. We have to cut that out. Like, if a sister expressing herself, she's not the angry black one. She's just expressing herself.
And I mean, and you gotta
sometimes be from a valid place. Like, I was, and when you see what they go through, like if you have the honor to be in their presence when they come home and they talk about the job, and you be like, wow,
like you going through that,
I don't know what that is.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, and that's in all of these industries. But especially in tech, because tech, where they would experience it more because it's more male dominated fields. Within that, and
because it's like
it's the good old boys network.
1.3% of women, black women in tech or something like
Well,
that.
yeah, it's 3%. 3%.
I don't even think it's that high in STEAM.
Well, and we talk about in particular fields, and then of course it gets smaller once you go into
different
other,
ones,
other fields.
And too, like you said, in certain fields like engineering, certain fields it's easier to move up in advance, or certain fields.
Well, when we talk about advance from entry level to the mid level, we're not talking about executives, so they're not making to the executive level.
Yeah, we're not making it too much.
but I'm just saying, like that number is less than 1%.
No, I agree, but what I also mean is, like, keep in mind, being that we also talking about tech, not just tech. We talking about tech and women today, but also the STEM field in general. Yeah. Certain positions or certain fields, they have a ceiling somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, for example, if you go in engineering, you come out college, an engineering degree, you may make 60, 70, 80,000.
Nah, they coming out making 80 now, brother.
Say like whatever, they making 80. But you don't rise up unless you get like your P license, this, that. It's like it's a
certification.
Yeah, so it's like a max that you can go without the certification.
Yep.
And so we just want you to know that, everybody who's watching, some things
into the Future Black podcast every Thursday, 8 p.m. Here on YouTube. We're streaming on YouTube currently, but we're going to be on other platforms moving forward and everything.
So with that being said, is every field, learn what it takes to go to the next level. Like if you're in computers, this goes for men and women. Understand the concept of certificates. And you need this certificate, that's it, this license, that license. So when you talk about how many women in engineering that has their PE license.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that is a hard test.
That's an 8 hour, what is it, 8 hour test? Yeah, it's an 8 hour test.
exam.
Test. Like, you never heard of a test.
I don't know. I don't know.
Used to be able to bring a whole cart of books to the bag. That's how heavy this exam is. They put a break in the middle of it.
Yes.
Because it's so extensive and intense.
And not only that, all our friends that's in engineering, I don't know no female that we know a lot of female sisters in the whole science that has that.
Oh, yeah,
I know a few more.
Yes.
The male friends that I know, I could name Phil. Phil, he was the former director of engineering at the city of Newark. I know a few brothers that have it.
Chris finished?
I think Chris got it too.
Yeah, I think so,
yeah, so a bunch of our friends, male friends, have it. But it's to say, this is something you women need to start understanding.
Yeah.
When
as far as advancement and everything.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to sign off on documents.
Yes.
That's legally binding, to be able to do, particular jobs, contracts, and everything.
And that's the side of saying where they'll say pay gap. When it's like, sometimes it's not a gender thing or such that it's, this person has the license, so it warrants him to make 400 or 200,000, say like 200,000. So whereas though if a bunch of them passed the exam and like they both took the exam, but if more men are passing it than the women, that plays a part on when you look at the data.
Yeah, I mean, and also the number of people who are actually taking it.
Yeah, like because
so I mean, that definitely adds to the number, or the lack of representation.
Because we don't just want to throw out and be like, oh, the pay gap. Sometimes you got to go deep in it and see why is it a difference.
So understanding that, because part of this podcast is being able to change the narrative, right? Understanding that we are owners within this space, and then how we predict the future, within it. How do we change that narrative? How do we get more women within this space We talked about the barriers, we talked about the challenges, we talked about individuals who are doing some phenomenal work within this space. But now we need to make sure that we project the future, because that's the Afrofuturism lens that we always going to be talking about.
We change the barriers by holding seminars and conferences. Look out, we're going to be doing one on technology where we're going to bring different people and fields together and hold a conference right here in the good old city of Newark, New Jersey. But you have conferences where you bring women in the fields. Then we have to also bring women to the high schools and the elementary schools where they talk about
what they do, the exposure piece.
Yes, and then also we have to begin to create a organization like how we had NSBE, Naseed Black Engineers, but a more sustainable one where it shows like we unite everybody, but it shows the steps to becoming this. Like to say, hey, if you want to be a director of engineering part, go to school, get this, get this certificate, study here. This is the best school right here. If you need practice, go to this place for the practice. So it's like giving them step by step. So to eliminate all the headaches and aggravation of like where I go. Basically just providing the proper information.
Yeah, I mean, because definitely, and that's part of what we want to do. We want to educate the community on, the steps and being able to get into these spaces, but also just to be able to sustain and be prosperous in these spaces as well. All of the things that we're talking about is some things that we experience, but also some of our friends and colleagues' experiences as well. There is major steps to going within the STEM fields. But there is, I look at the positives of it's definitely lucrative, for yourself, for your family, to impact the community, to use a drive and passion something that you're doing to be able to shape that next generation.
Don't mean to cut your bill, but what else? The women have to reach out to the youth. About these things, because when you go to conferences or you go to it'll be men talking.
Yeah.
When it comes to sisters, you in all these STEM fields, you have to reach out just like the sister with the coding, but you have to take the time out your schedule and go back and talk to the local elementary school, the local high school, because as men we can go and say talk. But they have to see women.
You gotta see.
Yeah, if they're not seeing you, cut out. Take, and then sometime women you have to sponsor some of these things,
or invite them into your spaces.
Yes,
real simple things would allow the exposure to increase. And then we get. That's where the mentorship as well as the fellowship kind of comes in hand in hand to be able to get more. Young people involved and young minds to explore these type of fields.
For example, these sisters, they come together for brunch all the time, spending money, brunched out, right?
Yes.
Imagine a group of them that's in the field, STEAM, get together and say, listen, we're going to provide food and all that, and everybody bring in a college student or a high school student
or
elementary school student, and you have a brunch with young people, and you don't make it so like lecture. You just eating with them, talking, having conversations,
finding out what their interests are and everything.
Do the same thing how they be with the sororities, but this time it's geared towards youth or even college students that's in that field. Give them the mentorship, and it's like a soft and hard mentorship. So the soft is like you sitting around talking. You give them something to talk about, and those are avenues to increase that. And you know what else too? People are moved by money. Sometimes sisters that's making money, go to the young people and tell them show them how good you're living, how much money you're making.
Inspire
them. Just it's no different how the drug dealer came around and was driving you like, that dude get money.
He got that car, he got the ladies, he got
that money. Imagine if the sisters do the same thing. Show them the good life. Show them what they can have. A lot of times we downtrodden them with all this negative stuff. Instead, hit them with something where they say, yo, I want to be like her, man. She living like, you know.
Yeah, be the model, be the example.
Yeah, and that's definitely what they need to do.
I mean, and then with all of this, we want to kind of, wrap up, the session and everything. We want to make sure that we are continuing to uplift these Black women in STEM and STEAM. We want to we'll provide recommendations because we're in the fields and have individuals who are also within the fields, but we want to also increase the number of individuals who are in these particular STEM and STEAM fields. That's the Afrofuturism, that's the lens, that's the future of us trying to increase the number of Black and browns, technology leaders that's going to be able to take advantage of these opportunities that's coming forth in the next 10 years that's available right now for you and everything. That's why we have the Future is Black podcast, and we want to be able to have these particular takeaways and make sure that you tune in each and every week, every Thursday. In summary, make sure you take pride in everything that you do. Pride is perseverance, resilience, integrity, determination, and above all, excellence in everything that you do. We appreciate you guys for coming out. Shout outs to all of the women who are doing the work, who are uplifting our community. But we also need you to throw a line. We got to go Kizzy.
Get back.
So that's what I'm about to say. Go Kizzy. Kizzy means, to stay put, but also Sankofa means to look back. We need you to look back and pull somebody with you. They need to see this environment that you have created for yourself, especially if you're doing extremely well, because these young people, they need instant gratification, right?
Also, not just on the young people thing. You sisters that's in STEM, you need to converse and network with each other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because believe it or not, you can start the next corporation that we needed. If each of y'all work together, it can change things. So the power of networking is important on all levels. So with that being said, we're not going to hold y'all any longer.
Yeah, man. Hey, tune in next week for episode 4. We're doing Afrofuturism and virtual reality, shaping the future. So continue to tune in. Hey, man, let your friends, family, and everybody know about what we're doing here at the Future is Black podcast. This is episode 3, Breaking Barriers, talking about Black women in STEM and STEAM. And we out of here.
Peace.